right, let's finish up these 7-2 notes. They are much shorter than the first part. So here we go. We're going to talk about mitochondria and chloroplasts. Most cells get their energy in two ways, either from food molecules or from the sun. And if they get their energy from food molecules, that process is called cellular respiration. So that's for food. And if they get it from the sun, that's called photosynthesis. Okay? Mitochondria convert the chemical energy stored in food into what is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That's what ATP stands for, adenosine triphosphate. So think of mitochondria as the furnace of the cell. The structure of a mitochondria, it is enclosed by two outer membranes, or by two membranes. One is the outer one, and then the inner one, as you can see, winds around all on the inside of the mitochondria. The outside one, its function is to separate the mitochondria from the cytoplasm. The inside one, here, all of these folds are called cristae. And what the cristae do is they increase surface area, because if you were to take this squiggly line like this and stretch it out into a straight line, there's going to be more surface area for chemical reactions to occur. See, because if this, you can squish a lot of this, squish it together, as opposed to one long straight line. So that's why there are all these folds and pockets inside. So once again, the outer part of the mitochondria separates it from the cytoplasm, and the inner has many folds that are called cristae. And once again, these add surface area for reactions to occur. Now, what type of cells do you think you would want a lot of mitochondria, or where you need a lot of energy for your body to function? Well, if you guessed your muscles, that's correct. You're going to find a lot of mitochondria in your muscle cells, because your muscles are the ones that are going to help you do whatever kinetic activity you're going to function or use. So that's why there's a lot of mitochondria in your muscle cells. All or nearly all of our mitochondria comes from the cytoplasm of the egg. So we get our mitochondria, most of it, from mom. Once again, nearly all of the mitochondria comes from the cytoplasm of the egg cell, which means we get the bulk of our mitochondria that we have from our mom. Chloroplasts, on the other hand, are organelles that capture energy from sunlight and convert it into chemical energy by the means of photosynthesis. Chloroplasts you would just find in plants. So chloroplasts, these are only in plants. Mitochondria you're going to find in both plants and animal cells. And when you did your coloring sheet, you could see the similarity between the two cells. These are called biological solar power plants, and they have the same kind of makeup as a mitochondria. If you look at the inside, they have a lot of inner membranes that are coiled together, so a lot of chemical reactions can take place. They are surrounded by two membranes. As you can see, there's this, back up the bus. There's this outer membrane. Oh, come on. Can we get it right this time? There's an outer membrane here. Then there's an additional inner membrane. And then there are these stacks. They look like they're coins. stacked up. This adds for even more surface area for reactions to take place. Now, if you think about these are microscopic. They are so teeny tiny, you need a microscope to see them. And there are thousands of these in plants for all of that energy to work in order to give us oxygen. Remember, the key, one of the products of photosynthesis is oxygen. So that's why these chemical reactions are so important. The green pigment is from something that is called chlorophyll, and so that's why they are called chloroplasts, because they contain the green pigment chlorophyll. Cytoskeleton. Cytoskeleton, if you think about it, cyto, the word cyto means cell, and I think you know what a skeleton is. So this would be the cell skeleton. This is what gives the cell its structure. So the cytoskeleton gives, once again, support and structure to the eukaryotic cell. So if we're going to compare it to a factory, just like a factory building is supported by steel and cement beams, the cytoskeleton gives support to the cell. And there is going to be different parts to the cytoskeleton, which we'll discuss. One of them is a filament, a microfilament, and the other is a microtubule. And these two things make up the cytoskeleton of the cell. So the cytoskeleton is a network of protein filaments that helps the cell to maintain its shape. The cytoskeleton is also involved in movement of the cell, which means that some of these little filaments or tubules help the cells physically move. The principal protein filaments are going to be microfilaments, where you all got mad at me on the last quiz, but microfilaments are just, as it is, just squiggly little lines. That's all they are. And the other ones are going to be microtubules. And the way that you can tell the difference between a microtubule and a microfilament is micro means small. Tube would mean that it is more of a tube-like structure. For the microtubule, so it's hollow, the microfilament is more like a string. And filament would give you the key there that it's more like a string. So here's the definitions. Microfilaments are thread-like structures made up of protein called actin. So microfilaments are thread-like. They form the framework, and their assembly and disassembly are responsible for cytoplasmic movement. So that is their function within the cell. Microtubules, and once again, are hollow structures like a tube, and they're made of proteins called tubulin. Pretty creative in the naming, isn't it? They help to, once again, maintain shape and are important in cell division, where they form mitotic spindles that help separate the chromosomes. So here is the function of the microtubules. Not only do they help maintain shape, but they are very important in cell division, where they form the mitotic spindles that help separate chromosomes. And there is a specific type of microtubule, which we're going to talk about on the next slide, as a matter of fact. That would be a centriole. Centrioles are located near the nucleus and once again help organize cell division. Centrioles are not found in plant cells. This is going to be a test question, I guarantee you. Remember that. They are not found in plant cells. Microtubules build projections from the cell surface. So other examples, so for example, if there's a cell, what this means is these are projections from the cell surface. So these little lines coming out here, these little hair-like things, are called cilia, and they help single-celled organisms move. The other ones are flagella. Flagella is like a single tail that looks kind of like this. That would be a flagella. And an example of a structure that has flagella are sperm. And once again, they help both the cilia and the flagella, which are microtubules, they help organisms swim through wherever they're going to go swimming through. So once again, they enable cells to swim rapidly through liquid. All right, last slide. Last slide is just kind of telling you what the plant cell has that the animal cell does not have. You've colored both a plant cell and an animal cell. There are 3 distinct things that a plant cell has that an animal cell does not, and then there's something that an animal cell has that a plant cell does not. So, there's your plant cell. You colored one of them. Plant cells have a cell wall. So this is outside of, the cell wall is outside of the cell membrane. So the cell membrane is going to be right here. All cells have a cell membrane. Plant cells only have a cell wall. All plant cells have chloroplasts, and these are these green things. And you can see over here that they do have mitochondria also. You can tell the difference between what a mitochondria looks like and what a chloroplast looks like, because you're going to have to identify these on your test. Finally, the plant cells have what is called a large central vacuole, and in your coloring sheet you colored that blue. It's very large in the plant cell so that it can store water. If water leaves the plant cell, if it exits out of the vacuole, then the cells are going to shrink. If you add water to a plant, this vacuole is going to fill up and then the plant will come alive again. Plant cells do not have centrioles. So once again, plant cells do not have centrioles. And this concludes your notes on 7-2.